Welcome to the Filthy Dad Pod, a place where three washed-up dads talk sports to the masses in between wiping asses. We are your hosts, Ryan, Derrick, and Father Tom, and we have a great show in line for you today. We're excited to be here. D, what's going on, my boy?
Just get over my anxiety from this Eagles game today. It was terrible watching it. I was in my chair, I was on my couch, out of my couch. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Little tight sphincter action, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Tom, what did you think about the weekend as a whole?
Well, yesterday was some crazy games of college football. That's for starters.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of close games that on paper should have been close. A key injury we can talk about that is completely now going to turn college football upside down. And like Derrick said, not trying to fucking stress over this Eagles game.
Yeah, that Eagles game was a win, but it wasn't one that we felt particularly good about. But some good things happened. Cordero Patterson made NFL history with his 9th career kickoff return for a touchdown. I'm ready to argue whether he's the greatest of all time kick returner. Not overall, not punt return, kick return. He's got the most touchdowns, and he's got more yards than Devin Hester, so don't argue me. But if anybody got something to say about that, I'm ready to go. And Tom, speaking of those, last week or the week before, I had asked you if you knew how many kick return / punt return touchdowns there were so far this year. And you guessed, and I think you got it wrong, but you were close. I think you guessed 0 and it was 1, or you guessed 1 and it was 0. But today we had 2. We had history, and then we had one that sunk the Tom Flynn lock of the week. I'm not feeling good about it. Go ahead.
Listen, man, both teams' offense are just not good. Zach Wilson should never start another game this year. After watching him play today, I don't think he completed a pass past 15 yards today. Defenses on both sides showed up. The Jets defense showed up, balled out. Pat's defense showed up, balled out, but that's just an understatement because how bad Zach Wilson played, but they still balled out. All you have to do is punt the ball out of bounds, force overtime, and you have a chance to win the game. And you do exactly what the Giants did for the Eagles, Deshaun Jackson. You did the same exact thing. And it's not like it didn't have any height on the punt neither. It was literally a line drive punt. Like the worst thing you can do to end the game is a line drive punt.
But I mean, we all agreed that was going to be a defensive slugfest, and there wasn't going to be much offense anyways. And it literally, the defense and the special teams won / lost the game for the Jets and the Pats. There was not one offensive touchdown scored in that game.
No, that was for there to be 6 points on the board with up until 6 seconds left in the game. I mean, he didn't score until there was 5 seconds left, but that was a shit show, literally. And this is why when you ask me the question, who would I rather have, Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones, I say fucking neither of them. But it was a shit show. And it was a game in which I thought the Tom Flynn lock of the week was locked, but in true New York fashion, like Tom said, they punt to a punt returner to end the game, and the punt returner makes it. These New York folks, they just don't learn. I don't get it. But the Tom Flynn lock of the week falls to 1 and 2, and it's okay. It's all right. We're just gonna rebound, and my boy's he's gonna get back on track Thursday. He's gonna lace your pockets.
I'm taking a whole day. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying for the Thursday show, we are moving it so it will either be Wednesday night or Friday night.
Yeah.
We'll keep you posted. We'll keep you updated.
I'm taking a whole day of dedication of looking at every single game, and I'm going to pick this lock right this time.
Pick it right and lace their pockets so we can get back into making some money. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so I wanted to, before we jump into NFL, I want to get into a little dad talk. Now, the three of us used to be, you could call us party animals, right? At different stages in life. Tom was a party animal a couple years ago. I was a party animal a couple years ago. D, I would say you were a party animal when you were a little bit younger, but you still party hard. That guy can drink better than anybody I know. But we don't party that much anymore. We don't. If we do, it's dinner with the family. It's hanging with the family. It's usually family related, but with the exception of some birthdays, we don't go out to bars. We don't go out to clubs. And this weekend, Friday night, I actually think I had asked you, Tom. I had said, yo, do you want to go out this Friday night? And I was talking to Joe about going out, and we didn't wind up going out. Then I wake up Saturday, and Kiara goes, are you doing anything tonight? Like, are you going out? I was like, no, I don't think so. Why? She's like, oh, you talked about maybe going out with Tom or Joe. And I was like, nah, I'm going to stay in. And I'm glad I did, because a bar that we all used to go to had another incident this weekend. There was the Union Tap. There was something that happened there, and it spilled out into, I guess, the parking lot and down the street, and somebody got shot and killed. And it's like, now, bro, as a dad, as somebody that has more than just myself to look at, that shit makes me not want to go anywhere anymore. At least at the night, nightlife scene. I'd rather go to a show or a dinner than go out to a bar. You guys feel the same?
Absolutely.
I will definitely piggyback off you and say this is my out right now. Talking to you guys, sitting here, I got my Stella Artois right here, and this is my going out. I mean, I never was a bar guy anyways, just because of that. If you would say our right side of the family has a temper, so I try to just stay in the house and not just to avoid problems, because you may not go out looking for problems, but problems definitely look for you sometimes. And it's like you said, you have more to think about in life. One decision could affect not only your life, but your children's lives, your wives' lives. So I get what you're saying. Like, it's better just Rye going over to your house, Tom, or just getting together and bullshit and arguing like we usually do 10 out of 10 times when we are together.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was with it. And listen, I stayed home, and me and Tom did try to golf today. That didn't work out. We got pushed back twice on a frost delay and decided, hey, maybe 33 degrees at 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday is too early and too cold to go golf. So we left and went home and got to spend more family time. So it's something that, that has been bothering me. And it's like, I just don't understand. You can't even enjoy a night out anymore without people just getting crazy. And shit sucks. But to get on to a little bit, better news. Actually, before we do that, I want to stump you guys again and see if I can do it. I got another trivia question. This is whoever gets this right. If you get it right, this will be the first correct one on this show. In 2019, Lamar Jackson became the second player in NFL history to be named as a unanimous MVP. Who was the first?
Cool.
I'm just going to go out on a limb, say Peyton.
Okay, Tom.
I'll say Tom Brady.
One of you got the right answer. And it is Thomas James Flynn. Oh. Tom Brady is the correct answer.
So that's Tom's GOAT. He was named after Tom Brady.
He was. Maureen Flynn was a huge Tom Brady fan before Tom Brady even got to Michigan. She just knew that guy
She knew her future. She knew the future.
The future. All right.
She knew that Tom was gonna love Tom Brady.
Check it out. Ready?
Yo.
This guy is bitter. Dylan Whipper, the Jets fan, is bitter. He thinks that Tom put the hex on his team. Tom, what do you got to say to Dylan?
Brother, listen, brother. Oi, I reckon, mate. At the end of the day, blame your special teams and blame your head coach for allowing Zach Wilson to step foot in that field in the second half, let alone the game. He went 9 for 22 for 77 yards in a passing dominant NFL league. That's atrocious, and I'm willing to bet that almost anybody on this podcast can probably do better than that.
Yeah, that was pretty shit.
It was pretty pathetic. But I mean, it was our team was right there too, so I'm not gonna say anything.
Matter of fact, let's jump into that. I was gonna say Indianapolis. Let's jump right into the Eagles-Colts game because we all talked about it coming in. It was a tight one. It was a lot tighter than I think that we had liked, but it might have been something that we expected coming into the game. Just because, Tom, I had told you I thought that the rush defense was a little bit of a weakness, and it showed again. Jonathan Taylor. I mean, they bottled them up, but they didn't. So it was like, I don't know. I think it was the offense was the issue. The Colts really shut us down. You guys have any opening statements on the game?
I think that the defense, well, number one, I think what they addressed by signing Sue and Linval Joseph, I think they were instant. Like they made an impact instantaneously. Like they were bottling them up. This is Jonathan Taylor we're talking about, who could easily go for 100 yards plus every game, and we held him to under 100 yards, and they were not shy about using these two guys right away. Like, it was weird because you think, Jordan Davis, we barely used him, those first couple games. Like, we were holding them back. And yeah, these guys are veterans and everything, but they just threw them to the wolves, put them right in there, and they made an impact. They were showing a couple plays like where they were really stuffing the run because there's some big bodies, So I don't really hold our defense accountable that much because our offense actually put our defense in some tough situations where the defense actually stepped up and, kind of stop the bleeding a little bit.
The defense.
No, I agree with you. I mean, they held the entire Indianapolis Colts to under 100 yards combined. They had 99 rushing yards. Like you said, they did bottom up. I mean, Jonathan Taylor opening drive literally just made us look silly.
Right.
And then everything like that, he was still having a good first half. And like you said, they must have made defensive adjustments because they bottom up in the second half. I mean, he still had his 4 or 5 yard runs here, but he had we had a few tackles for loss behind the line of scrimmage. We had a couple sacks. BG came up clutch finally. And like you said, it's more so the defense played good. And like you said, the offense just let them out dry.
They didn't run the ball again. We didn't run the ball again. I know you said, so I forgot who said it, that it wasn't effective. But
I only said it on that one play. Okay. I was like, even when we run, it seems like even when we run the ball, they know it's just not effective. I mean, it was a tackle it wasn't a tackle for loss or a gain. He got back to the line of scrimmage, but it's the fact that our quarterback shouldn't be the one running the ball 6 times.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And a few of them aren't. A few of them, of course, are going to be designed runs for the quarterback for Jalen Hurts. But at the end of the day, like with the running backs with Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders, not one of them. Not Jalen Hurts should not have more rushing attempts than our starting running back and Miles Sanders.
I will say this. The one more weakness that I did see in our team, which it showed last week, was that middle defense. The middle of the field defense, because Pittman was eating in the middle today, and last week, I believe Curtis Samuels was eating in the middle last week. So we got to tighten that up.
Yeah. Pittman did some damage. I placed a bet on a little. I think it was a $5 bet on Alec Pierce to have less than 2.5 catches, and I think he finished with. I stopped watching. I stopped paying attention to him after he got 3, but I think I lost that bet. What I got on it is. We entered the fourth quarter of the game down 10. At that point, we had only scored 3 points on the day. And that game, to me, it had a feel of the 2019-2020 Eagles on offense, at least. Just offense, because they were the years that we weren't getting much production on offense. We weren't able to maintain drives. We were playing sloppy football, and the team looked like it was asleep. Like they weren't ready. They weren't prepared for this game. And the Colts, they were able to move the ball with ease, like Tom said, and punch it in, with a touchdown on the opening drive. And for the majority of it, it felt like they controlled the game. Like they were kind of doing what they wanted, like Washington did, but they were unable to find the end zone. They kept settling for field goals and stop drives and whatnot. I mean, in fact, the Eagles pretty much completely shut them down after that opening drive. They had 75 yards and 7 points on that first drive. And over the next 7 drives, they had 82 yards with a field goal. And that 7th drive, that last one that I had counted in there, they missed the field goal that now we know would have won them the game. The Colts on offense blew this game because the defense, again, played lights out. They controlled the game for full 3 quarters, but unfortunately for them, there's 4 quarters in football. The Eagles, they were asleep on offense. Like I said, it kind of brought me back to that 2019 season when we weren't really doing shit. We were in between Carson and here, and it brought me back to those times. But again, fourth quarter, MVPs, league leaders, dudes that want to be known as the best quarterback in the league. It don't matter what you do the first 3 quarters if you're able to put together a fourth quarter drive. And Jalen Hurts put the boys on his back. That he led the team down the field, highlighted with a nasty quarterback run and seen him pick up 22 yards. And then he capped it off with a 22-yard strike to Quez, who really kind of needed that touchdown Tom, you mentioned BG. I got a piece on BG too, but Quez is a guy that fucked up last week, and he came out this time and made up for it. He scored that touchdown that kind of put us back into the game, and then the defense kind of falls apart a little bit. Matt Ryan bombs on him to Paris Campbell. Then they beef up again inside the 5. They hold it to a field goal attempt, and then Jalen Hurts does it again, bro. Him, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott. He threw that defensive pass interference to Miles Sanders. After that, it was 9 straight runs between Sanders, Scott. It was like Sanders, Scott, and then Hurts. And Hurts punched it in. He punches it in, and like I said, the two guys that had big blunders last week in Quez and BG, they come back their next opportunity. Quez gets that huge touchdown, kind of gets the team going, and BG got a huge sack. No pause. Big sack. Monstrous sack. That was a fucking – he needed that. He needed that after that. Philly's going to host the Packers on Sunday night. Colts are going to host the Steelers on Monday night. Another fucking great primetime showdown.
Yo, to piggyback off this game really quick before we do anything, move on or anything, can somebody explain? I want your opinions on 2 things. And I know I wrote this to Derrick on the timeout. On the timeout when the clock was running with 4 minutes, wasting a timeout, and coming out of the 2-minute warning. What the fuck was Syria thinking? Trying to go on to a 4th and 2, going into a quarterback sneak just to waste another. I mean, I know he was trying to draw them off sides, but what was the point of that just to waste another timeout? A timeout that could have been crucial to us.
All right, so the 4 plus, plus a little bit of time on the clock. What I was assuming he was doing was he called the timeout to save it just in case they were to get stopped and it's 4th and down. It's 4th down on Indianapolis's territory. Because at that point, if you punt it, you still have the 2-minute warning, and then you have 2 timeouts. So that's what I'm thinking for that one. The 2-minute warning, there's no way that you come out of a 2-minute warning and not know what you want to run. It's a critical play, and you fucking call a timeout right after the 2-minute warning, in which that's basically a timeout. It was terrible clock management. That's what that was. There's no excuse for this shit. That's terrible clock management, and that game should have been way over. We shouldn't even have been on defense at that point. I don't know what Sirianni, I guess he thought, listen, they'll probably think that we're going to run it with Jalen difference than 1 yard in the NFL. You're not doing that dumbass. I mean, it's not a dumbass quarterback sneak because it always works on 4th and 1, but you're not doing that shit on 4th and 2. I don't care if you got the fridge behind Jalen Hurts, he's probably not pushing them 2 yards in the NFL.
But he calls the timeout, and Jalen Hurts gets a 3-yard run to pick up the 1st down. So I mean, it is a questionable timeout, that last one, and I was right there with you. I'm like, what the fuck is this dude doing? But listen, whether it gave the offensive line a breather, whether it gave Jalen a chance to go out there and see what was going on, or I don't know. I feel like the Colts came. I think it was something that maybe Sirianni just had said, look, this is so fucking stupid that if we do it, it might just work. Like, this is so dumb. We're going to go out in a goal line set with 2 yards to go, and we're going to hut, and try to get them to jump off sides. Listen, if they go off sides, like, we've seen that shit happen a million times. Then he's a genius and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I think it was a pretty dumb thing that just worked in his favor. Jalen Hurts picks up the 3 yards. Then he takes like a couple yard loss, and then he runs it in for a touchdown. And the Eagles, listen, at the end of the day, there was some they're not playing clean ball right now. They're not. This isn't a 9-1 team that's played these last 2 weeks. I like kind of what they did in some spots against Houston, but the last 2 weeks they haven't looked like a 9-1 team. I mean, AJ Brown, it's just
number one.
Oh, of course, and they have to be number 1, and we'll talk about that with power rankings. But the Chiefs lost to Indy in a tight game. We beat them, so I mean, but dude, it's TJ Edwards. They're playing sloppy. Penalties are killing drives. I know it's backup tight ends getting us penalties, but even when they get good things to happen, now they're still losing. TJ Edwards gets a monster of a strip, right? And then you go to your lead guy. You go to AJ Brown, the guy that has killed it for you this year, and AJ Brown gets stripped. And then, we know what happened after that, but it was really the defense time and time again answered the phone today. And listen, the last two games sucked. The Commanders game sucked. Texans, they ran all over us. This game, the defense did a lot better, and I definitely appreciate their efforts.
I just have a thing for Nick Sirianni. If he could just drink some more water while he's out in the field, because he does that little stupid spit, and about 40% of the time towards the end of the game, there's nothing coming out. Drink some fucking water, my guy. Jesus Christ.
He's too busy. Go ahead.
I want to know who he was yelling. I can't wait to find out who he was yelling at the end of the game.
He's probably yelling at his kids in the stand. He's all fired up at the end of the games. I don't know why.
That means a lot to him. He used to coach in Indy. That's his first trip back there as a head coach. That's a big game for him. Just like the Colts were playing with a little bit of emotion for Saturday on Sunday last week. Maybe the boys rallied in that fourth quarter for old Saint Nick.
But at the end of the day,
the Colts defense is good.
One last thing, we could shout out your boy Zaire Franklin.
Oh yeah, he was all over the field today.
Unreal, 12 tackles, 5 solos, a half a sack, a forced fumble on that AJ Brown. I mean, that he was literally all over the field.
And no matter what people say, that PI that he had was the smartest play he could have done.
It was if he doesn't, that's 6 points if he doesn't run into him.
Yeah, or if Hurts puts it out there.
Yeah, but because of him, I hate the number 44 now.
Why? Because of that strip?
I was just tired of seeing it all over the field. It was. I'm telling you, it had to be in every fucking play.
Oh, listen. He is going to be the reason why the Colts get the move away from. And I'm not saying that he's the bad player, but now he's got the injury bug creeping up. He's the reason why the Colts aren't going to be completely fucked if Shaq Leonard doesn't come back to be what he once was. That dude's all over the field, and I said it from the rip. He's a monster. I hate it. I even went and signed him in Madden last week. Now he's my starting linebacker. But I'm getting a phone call. Let me silence that. Yeah, man, it was a tough game for our boys, but as ugly as it was, great teams pull out gritty wins. They're the wins that you look back at the end of the season, and they're the wins that are going to win or lose you the number 1 seed. And when you get, and we're going to touch on this later, but with the Vikings losing, we now have that comfortability back. It's kind of like they won last week and we won last week. Are we undefeated? No, but we're right back where we were before last week. Go ahead, D.
It's just not the Vikings that gave us a little cushion. It's those G-men too, boy.
They
Let's get into that game.
Go ahead.
Really quick. What does anybody know what's going on with DeAndre Swift?
He can't be 100%.
He can't.
Dude, Jamal Williams just gets it's like the Tony Pollard and Zeke situation now in Dallas. It's Jamal Williams just gets every goal line touch.
Yeah, but now you have Justin Jackson had more than DeAndre Swift.
Swift got a touchdown. They gave him a little bit of love. Do you think he's hurt?
Yeah, absolutely.
He can't be 100%. Because I mean, he was the every down back, and then you had Jamal Williams, who was usually the red zone back.
Yeah, because he's a bigger body. It just I don't know. Right. It's still I don't know if it's still his shoulder from what he hurt a couple weeks ago, but you could tell he's not 100%. At least I'm assuming he's not 100% because of the way they're using him. I mean, they're not using him. He's the best running back. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jamal Williams is good, but when you want a back that can do everything, it's DeAndre Swift. When it's running the ball inside, running the ball between the tackles, outside the tackles, in the open field with the pass game, it's DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, so I'm looking at something here from a pretty popular Lions fan. It's one of their pages, and he acknowledges that he will likely not be fully healthy for the rest of this season. But that he's going to play through it. So he is still banged up, but it whether it's something that they're monitoring or if it's something that's bothering him that keeps him off the field, or maybe it's just something that it's like he's not fully there, but he wants to play, so we're going to let him play. I mean, whatever it is, he's he's fallen out of favor in Detroit, and that sucks because he's a Philly kid, so we might be a little biased. But he's a beast. 5 carries today, 20 yards. Like he didn't even 3 catches, 12 yards. Like he got no chance to really do much today.
The real question is, where did this Detroit defense come up to bottle up Saquon Barkley for 15 carries and 22 yards?
But that's not actually what even stands out to me, because Daniel Jones probably had the most passing yards he probably has ever had in his career with 341. It was the turnovers. Jared Goff had 0 turnovers, 0.
And 0 sacks.
He did everything that he usually doesn't do and won them the game. He just did minimal. That's all he did minimal, and he relied on the run game and the defense. And his defense had 3 turnovers on the Giants, and the Giants had 0.
The Giants call. Here's one I just saw. DeAndre Swift he fumbled today.
Yeah, he fumbled. I just
seen that. Maybe that plays a part. But yeah, the Giants, Daniel Jones threw 2 picks, and Isaiah Hodgins fumbled. And the Giants,
Hutchinson, baby.
That was Aiden Hutchinson. He got another pick today, didn't he?
Yeah.
Listen, Jamal Williams, the 3 touchdowns, we talked about that. He's just taking over that. Saquon, Tom, you mentioned, I took him in my DFS, and he was the one guy I was like, Saquon's gonna fucking eat, and he did not. And then Daniel Jones, he is the reason I fucking refuse to buy into this Giants team. Why I said I was waiting for them when we released our first power rankings. I was waiting for them to fall out. Bro, on a 4th down midway through the 3rd, he has a receiver running a cross route. He had gotten a little bit of separation. If he puts it on him on a crucial 4th down trying to come back, they fucking, they move on there. They don't give the ball back to Detroit in a bad spot. What's he do? Overthrows this guy right to the Lions defender, and instead it puts the Lions in scoring position. So to where the Giants are coming down, and maybe there's a chance that they go and pull it. They score there and go for 2, which is likely what they're going to do. It's 24-14. Instead, they throw the pick, and Detroit didn't score there. But it put them in a good spot too. So he's just put his team in a bad spot. He doesn't really do anything that fucking elevates their game. I feel like they would be the same if they had Daniel Jones or if they had Ryan Fitzpatrick. I just don't see anything. What does he bring? And let me change this because I got him already. What does he bring to the Giants that makes you believe in that team?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Only thing I believe in is Saquon Barkley, and just like I said last week, he's going to get fatigued. I mean, we're all human beings at the end of the day. And I played, baseball, even baseball, you get fatigued once the season starts getting a little stretch. I played basketball, same thing. Once it starts getting to the latter of the year, the later of the year, you start to wear down. And I mean, this guy is running into, sometimes 200, 300 plus pound men. So he's going to break down eventually. And he's going to run into teams that have better rushing, defenses than he has played. And it just shows today. 15 carries, 22 yards. He did absolutely 0 today. And that's their identity. And once start to notice, which I don't know how they haven't noticed yet, stop Saquon Barkley and let somebody else beat us. Let Daniel Jones pass to Kenny Golladay, who doesn't even want to be there, is going to drop every pass he throws to him. That's how you have to beat teams like the Giants, the Tennessee Titans, the Colts, like we did today. You got to look at their identity. If it's a run, if their identity is a run game, then you just got to stop the run. Okay, if you get beat on the outside, whatever, it is what it is, but stop the run.
Well, they couldn't. Listen, it's they might be the worst. They might have been the worst 7-2 team. I'm sorry. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to be too down on them, but it's just on the other side, Detroit, what's this, their 3rd straight from 1-6 to 4-6, and now they're trying to creep back. Go ahead.
This was the team that you were saying in the beginning of the season that you believed in. You actually liked them.
And then I quit on them because they kept fucking me. And as soon as I fucking put it on here that I will not back them anymore, they win 3 straight. Go figure. Go
I'm telling
figure.
you,
John
if they get a nice quarterback, like if Lamar goes there, they'll be a good team because they already have it. Their defense is good.
Next game I wanted to jump into was Chicago and Atlanta, and it's because I've been dubbed with following the Chicago Bears because I do not think that Justin Fields is where he should be just yet, and I've said that, and I'm not sure that anybody really does think that he's there, but he continues to show up and have decent games. But I'm still waiting for this dude to fucking go ahead and win one of these games, and he hasn't. But as we talked about earlier, Cordero Patterson again made NFL history with his 9th career kickoff return for a touchdown, makes him the all-time leader, and then Young Wei Koo drills a 53-yarder, and the Falcons down Fields and the Bears 27-24. Another loss for Chicago, which I know some of their fans might prefer, as it drops them to 3rd in the current draft order, but one that I know a lot of their fans and me as a neutral fan hate to see. This was an extremely winnable game for Fields. And instead of winning the game, he's late to he's got his running back out the backfield. He's late seeing him, and then he compounds that mistake with a high ball, an overthrow that Jalen Hawkins gets a game-sealing pick for the Falcons, and they lose that game. Falcons stay alive. They got a huge game this week as they travel to Washington. And now those two, that's going to be a pretty decent game because those two are a half a game apart from each other in the NFC Wildcard race. And you got to think that the loser of that game is going to lose the battle in standings. You're going to lose that advantage of the head-to-head. So that's a pretty big fucking game that they got next week. You guys got anything on the Bears losing to the Falcons?
No, the only thing I have is that Justin Fields, he has promise, and I think that he isn't the problem. I think it's their defense because, again, and he could win. You know, these are winnable games that he could win, but he's still young and he's still learning. But I think if he has a defense, I think that, you know, they're in that wild card talks right now. Now, for Atlanta, I just think they're Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta's going to be good this year, maybe next year, but definitely not this year. And they're in. It wasn't a bad game. It wasn't as bad as I thought. But Justin Fields rushing for, 18 carries for 85 yards. Again, it's just he's a promising young player. Like I would like to see him at least for a year or two to kind of determine, is he what tier of quarterback?
He had a QBR of 33.4. He took 4 sacks. This game is another one of those passing games where I look back and I'm like, okay, this has been my gripe on him all this whole time is like, I appreciate the running, especially as somebody who's watched Jalen Hurts develop. I appreciate the rushing attack that he brings. But just like Jalen, he's got to make that next jump as a passer. And I actually texted Cornell. I was talking with him today. Because I'm really interested in what the Chicago team's going to do, not only the rest of this season, but their off season. I think they're going to have the off season for the ages. They got money. They should have a pretty decent draft pick, and it seems like they got their quarterback. He's just got to do his thing. Tom, do you have anything on either the Bears or your boy Mariota and the Falcons?
I was one that thought Justin Fields is going to be a complete bust. Then again, I'm one that always thinks, and no Oklahoma or Ohio State, or I don't think any Alabama quarterback was going to be good. Jalen Hurts has completely proven it, being an Alabama and Oklahoma quarterback. I mean, I can't even remember the last successful Ohio State quarterback, but the Chicago Bears will be the team that will get a top 3 pick as they're projected and what everybody wants the Chicago Bears to do. They're the team that will get a top 3 pick and completely shake up the draft board, knowing that they're not going to quarterback. They're probably not going to go an edge rusher. If I'm assuming they're probably going to go to best lineman on the board to get protection for Justin Fields, if I was assuming.
So you think if they finish with a top 3 pick that they're going to go O-line? I should have asked, and I'm not being smart. I'm being for real. I should have asked Cornell and a couple of the Chicago guys I talked to, like, what do you think your team's biggest needs are? Do you have an idea who they would go there?
They can go. I mean, they need an edge rusher, so they can go to kid from Bama or the kid from Clemson. But I think they need offensive line is one of the most important positions if you want to keep a guy like Jalen Hurts healthy, unless if magically they trade out of that and they stack up more draft picks and get an offensive lineman in a trade. They can literally trade that pick back up. Probably if they're going to go out, let's just say they go offensive line. Let's just hypothetically speak, they want the best offensive lineman on the board. They can probably literally trade back in the first round, get a late first round pick, stack up more draft picks, and still get the offensive lineman that they want, knowing that the top 5 picks off the board are going to be quarterbacks and the defensive ends.
Well, so my thinking is I do think that they want to protect Justin Fields, but they just traded away Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. So I think that they're number one. I think they're going defensive. I think they're going defense regardless. Because they can use a lot of that money to kind of attack, the free agent market and maybe try. When you were looking at a dude, they're right now they're projected. I think it was number 3. I think they're actually at number 2.
Well, no, because Carolina's above them, so it's Houston, Carolina, then Chicago, I think.
Okay, so Houston and Carolina both need quarterbacks. I think they're both going to go quarterback, and neither of them are going to trade out. So
correct.
That would leave Chicago at number 3. I think they're actively tanking. I think that they don't care about the games. They see what they got with Fields, and now they're just trying. Outside of quarterback, the top 5 should be 3 quarterbacks and a combination of 2 of the 3 top defensive guys. The lineman that you were talking about, the kid from Penn State is the highest. He's the highest rated lineman, in a lot of the mock drafts that I've seen. And I'm not sure that you picked that kid at number 3, especially if Will Anderson Jr. is still on the board.
No, I agree with you 100%. That's why I'm saying if they trade back. But the thing is the good thing with drafting an offensive line is you get them off the rookie deal for 4 years before you have to pay them again. Instead of dropping big time money for a big time free agent guy where you can go attack the defensive free agency. I don't even know what the defensive free agents are.
What I look at is ticket sales. So they already have their guy on offense in Justin Field, who they just So why not, like Ryan's saying, go get a Will Anderson and put him on the defense? And now the fans are, they're not only hyped up about Justin Fields, but look, now we got this, maybe game-changing player in Will Anderson on our defensive side. And at the end of the day, Chicago is known for defense. They've always that's always been like something that they've been good at. They've always had good defensive teams. Because Chicago is like that nitty-gritty city, kind of like a Philadelphia. So they like that roughneck piece. So I think Will Anderson is definitely, somebody that they would definitely look at and maybe draft a lineman that they could develop more in a 2nd or 3rd round.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be unless everybody just gets signed, there's going to be a decent offensive line free agency pool. So that's something to keep your eyes on. But I mean, that's off season. I am excited for the Bears, and they got a chance to build something great there. But it's going to take a lot of work, and I wish they would just win one of these games. Just show me even a glimpse of Justin Fields can pull this out, because all they're doing right now is showing me that yes, dude could put up stats, but he's not winning games. And at the end of the day, what the fuck's the point of building this team if you want to? Listen, you know who else lost games and couldn't win? The Sixers, and they turned into a team that can't get out the 2nd fucking round. Create a winning culture, not a losing culture. The Eagles could have tanked their first year with Wentz. Instead, they went 7-9. They built a culture. The next year, they won the Super Bowl. Anyway, did you see the play by Mariota, Tom? Now that we mentioned Mariota, you see where he just fucking launched himself into the end zone? I think he hurt the defender. It looked like somebody shot him out of a fucking rocket. Bro.
Well, it was like a halfback draw type thing, right? But it was like a run option. Yeah, that was sick. Yeah, it was.
And then real quick, last thing on Justin Fields. I want to love the kid, but did you see now Darnell Mooney has had a tough season. People caught talent saying he's not a number 1 receiver. He's this and that. My man gets the early touchdown, and then again in the first half, he gets wide open he's running down the sidelines with nobody near him, and fucking Justin Fields overthrows him, bro.
Yeah, I seen that. I mean, nobody was around him.
Bro, gone. Tom Flynn would have caught that ball, though, because that motherfucker's face. All right.
It's just off-season work.
All right, so here's a game that was it wasn't the most entertaining game, right? But it was a decent game for that team's fan base. The Commanders, their defense got them started with a pick six from Kendall Fuller, and then that defense held it down all game while the offense struggled. And they continued to hold it down when the offense actually did start moving the ball, but then they failed to get touchdowns and kept just putting in field goals instead. But the Commanders, they do beat the Texans 23-10 in a game in which Damian Pierce rushed for 10 times for 8 yards, so they completely bottled him up and forced Davis Mills to beat them. And that ended with 2 picks, 5 sacks, and a big old fat loss. The Commanders with that win, bro, they keep pacing the NFC Wildcard, like I said earlier. They improved to 6-5, and they prove again why the NFC East is the best division in football right now, even with the Giants losing. Did you guys catch much of that game? Did you see Ridgeway for the Commanders picked up Tom? You talked about it. You texted us as soon as it happened.
That was the best part of the game,
bro. He dropped him on his head. That's not nice. What about the man's neck, Tom?
Listen, bro, that's what happens when you try to get low and you don't go down, man. It's just a fucking suplex.
No
way. What do you think was better, that one or Derwin James picking up and suplexing Travis Kelce?
Oh, the Derwin, you had a fucking 300-pound lineman versus a running back, and then you had a smaller safety versus big-ass Travis Kelce. Derwin's was
stopped him in his tracks, bro.
Definitely.
Stopped him in his tracks.
Fucking that was I watched that and I was just like, okay, that motherfucker strong. The Bills rebound. And they get a much needed win over the Browns, 31-23. Did you guys catch that game? I caught a little bit of that.
Yeah, I'll call a little.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tom.
Just one thing. Stefanski is officially on my fucking hit list. Yet still didn't run the ball with the clear-cut one of the best running backs in football. That's it. That's all I have to say. Fuck the Browns.
And I mean, what I have to say is that the Bills actually ran the ball this game. They got Devin Singletary going. Gabe Davis is terrible this year. I mean, the amount of drops that he's had, and he dropped it on the hands team in which the Browns could have got the ball back, but Rodney Harrison didn't, control it, because that would have been interesting. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, he was kind of doing his thing. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he could have marched them down, and, especially after the Bills defense just got off the field, to get back on the field and have to stop Jacoby Brissett in that offense. I don't know. It was, and I mean, there was some good plays in this game. Donovan Peoples-Jones ripping the ball out of who the hell it was.
Nasty.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good game. It was an old-fashioned Bills, good game, in which we're used to,
Yeah. You mentioned Kobe Brissett, went 28 for 41, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He outdueled Josh, but they were down most of the game. I mean, they were losing by big fucking numbers from like halftime on. But the Bills, they were able to avoid their third straight blowing their third straight halftime lead by scoring. They scored on all 5 of their possessions in the second half. I think that was up until a certain point, or was that throughout the whole game? I don't know. But the Russian attack was working early. They were averaging over 5 yards a carry, but in the first half, they wouldn't fully commit. They were kind of using it as like that third down, I need to get a first down play. But between that and the penalties killing them on a couple of their offensive drives, it didn't look good early. But like I said, that was early on, like first quarter and beginning of second quarter. But the Browns, they had a big fucking failed 4th down attempt on a Jacoby Brissett quarterback sneak. Tom, you mentioned about them not using Nick Chubb. I fucking screamed it from the rooftops last week. 4th down, you have Jacoby Brissett. You need, 2 yards? You have Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Did you think with the year Kareem Hunt's having and the lack of confidence you've showed the league that you have in him, do you think that they don't know that you're running a quarterback sneak? Why the fuck isn't Nick Chubb in on a crucial 4th down?
Drives me crazy. I just don't understand.
Doesn't make sense.
Wild. Big stand for the Bills defense. They do stop the quarterback sneak. And on the very next drive, Josh Allen hits 2 big passes to Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox. And then Singletary does the rest. They punch it in. Bills kind of walk away with the game. And big win for Buffalo. They really needed that. You guys got anything on it?
Bills Mafia's back. No, just like you said, it was a game that the Bills needed. Maybe they can build off some momentum. I'll tell you what, Josh Allen looked better than he has in prior weeks. I'm not just saying that because they won the game, but because I believe he did not throw any red zone interceptions. I remember I sent, if you guys remember, I sent you that little snippet of him. I think it was his first 67 games. He only threw 2 red zone interceptions. And in the past 2 games, I think he's thrown. So that was kind of like a fucking crazy stat.
Just it's great to see. It's actually low-key really fun to see a team like the Buffalo Bills run the ball 33 times for a total of 171 yards. And it's crazy to only see Josh Allen have 3 carries, 3 rushes for 7 yards, knowing that Jeff Cook, Devin Singletary, and James Cook got going, and they both ended with 86 yards apiece. So, I mean, that just proves to me, I still think that we all know that Josh Allen's still feeling it in his elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And I would assume you see the same exact thing Thursday night in Detroit. So I'm assuming that – I'm also assuming that they're staying there too. So they're going to stay there for the next couple of days.
But I actually seen something that said they were trying to go home.
Yeah,
I did see that they were trying to go home with their families, but I don't know – they're going to go home tonight and be back there on Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know if they can.
So a lot of those guys.
Shout out to the Bills Mafia, the fans. I saw that a bunch of them were like snow blowing like players' driveways and like all sorts of shit to get them to the game. I think they were doing carpools to get them to the airport. That's fucking dedication. That's a dedicated fan base. Number 2 fan base, I would say, in the NFL.
Number 2. But listen, a good point, Tom, is we know, again, this is a dad pod. A lot of these dudes are fathers, their husbands, even if it's just 2 days, it's the holiday week. They're already going to be away for Thanksgiving. So it does mean a lot for them to go home and kind of regroup, see their families and get right back to Detroit. But it was, like I said, it was a huge win for the Buffalo Bills. It's something that they needed, especially with just everything going on in the AFC. We talked about this. We touched on this earlier. D, you want to take the? Oh no, I already looked at that one. See, I'm a little. We went to that one earlier. It was Giants Lions. Giants Lions.
Oh, yeah, Giants Lions. Yeah.
So the Saints and the Rams.
And I did pick the Lions to win for everybody watching.
You did, and I picked. I don't remember who I picked. I think I picked
the Giants. You did,
because I saluted. What's his name?
Yeah,
my boy Pook. So the Saints and the Rams, they have a game that was. I know the score says it was pretty high scoring, 27-20. Saints actually beat the Rams, but it was I tried watching that game. It was pretty boring. Stafford got hurt again. He's back in the concussion protocol. But he was kind of doing a little bit of what we talked about, spreading the ball, finding some new toys. Allen Robinson had a touchdown. Tutu Atwell got his first touchdown of the year. All in the game where I'd take Van Jefferson, to blow up in my DFS. He's the only one that didn't get involved. But before the game, Jameis talked about how, about losing his job to injury. So it's like I had said, I think that quarterback, it's a good win for the Saints. And Andy, Tom, you gave Andy Dalton a little bit of praise today, which I never thought I would see in my life. And that was actually on a strike to Olave. Last week, Olave was my player to watch. I said he had to get it going, and he heard me, but he just waited a week. Tom,
that pass is unreal.
I was just about to go there. Talk to me about your newfound love for the red rifle. I love to hear it.
Don't get me wrong, he still stings, but The fact that he stood in the pocket and got fucking leveled, but he threw a dime to Chris Olave for a touchdown. A dime. And I'm pretty sure, don't get me wrong here, that could have been the touchdown that pulled them away from the game. Yeah, it was. That was the touchdown that put them up 24-14 that pretty much pulled them away from the game. Yeah, he literally stood in the pocket. I never thought he would stand. He stood in the pocket and took that hit.
Yeah, but this is the thing. When you're not playing with pressure, the Andy Daltons, the Tyler Heineke's, it's your job to win, not your job to lose. So you're basically playing with house money. You were already the backup quarterback. Now you're winning some games, or you're making the team, look a little bit more presentable. So they're not playing with pressure. So that's why we got to remember Andy Dalton, they used to, he was somewhat of a red rifle. He was Cincy starting quarterback. They believed him at one point. So he was a starter, and now he's playing with house money. He got this role because of injury. And just like, if the Cowboys didn't have Dak Prescott, you don't think that if they have Carson Wentz, they're not keeping Cooper Rush in instead of Carson Wentz? They're probably still going to it's all about momentum. And I always go back to when AJ Feely got it. I forgot what year it was. But AJ Feely came in, and I think he won like 4 or 5 games straight. Who was the starting quarterback at that point? Was it Jeff Garcia?
No, it wasn't. It was Donovan, and then Feely came in, and then it was Jeff Garcia, then Feely. I think Feely did it twice.
Yeah. So these guys that's why he's just in there throwing good. But it sucks because Matt Stafford did actually look good before he went down. Like I caught a little glimpse of the game, and he was throwing darts. And he was spreading the ball around like we said he should.
It was 2002. He started 5 games for the Eagles when McNabb went out, and he was 4-1, 6 touchdowns, 5 picks. That was when our defense. That was Jim Johnson days. So that was like kind of, hey, just don't go lose the fucking game and let Dawkins and Trotter and these dudes fucking ball out. But
he's Heineke before Taylor Heineke. Except for this time, he actually played good. He didn't just manage the game; he threw the ball.
Life is bleak. As a Rams fan, I don't really see much. They're done now. They're 3-7.
They're done.
They're not going to, with the 49ers being multiple games ahead of them. I don't think the Seahawks are going to hold on in that division. I think that division is going to San Fran, so they're not going to catch San Fran. They already got a head-to-head loss, and they're not catching the NFC Wildcard. I guess theoretically they're only 2.5 or 3 games out of the wild card spot, but they just look like dog shit. I will not back them.
Has there ever been a time where a whole division went to the playoffs?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Not in this new format. Yeah, I don't think it has in this new format.
Only 3 teams because there's only 2 wild card teams and the 1 division winner. So now that there's 3 wild card teams, that's why you can have a division winner, and the wild card could be all 3 teams in your division.
I know we talked about this game already, but the Patriots do beat the Jets 10-3, and Derrick named another game this, and I'll wait, but I think this one might have won the shit bowl game of the week. I know it wasn't looked at it coming in that way, but I don't know if this is a product of terrible offenses or 2 great defenses. Because again, the Jets got a really solid defense, and New England, it's Bill Belichick against a young guy. And I'm
going to compare this game to just really bad sex. That's what this game was. It's like you're sitting there for like 45 to an hour and a half, just bang, bang, bang. And then you finally let load go. And it's over with. That's how this fucking game was.
45 sex. 45 minutes to an hour and a half.
God bless you, bro.
You meant seconds. Who the fuck are you trying to fool over here, bro? And listen, for this, I feel like where's this one? I got to put this one back up. This is the only thing I got for the Jets game in terms of banner is, but for the Patriots, it was bad sex. It was, if that's what you're saying, I get that. For the Jets, look, any sex is good sex, but for the Jets, they're fucking dry. They got dry dick today. 3 fucking points from an offense, from an NFL offense. That's fucking dry. That's DDE, dry dick energy from the New York Jets. Zach Wilson is not fucking anybody's mother tonight.
The only thing he's banging is Jill tonight. Yeah, Pamela.
The Cowboys dominate the Minnesota Vikings 40-3. And while I didn't think it was going to be an ass whooping like that, I did call this victory for, even though I was so high on the Vikings. I had them as my number 2 team. I just felt like this was the game that they were going to lose. Not only did they lose, they got their shit pushed in. Literally, like there was nothing you could come out of that game. 3 points. Diggs locked up, for the most part, locked up Jefferson. Tony Pollard continued to look good. He got the DeAndre Swift action, which means he gets him down to the red zone. And then Zeke fucking gets the 1-yard carry and then gets the touchdown. Zeke had 2 touchdowns on the game. It was dominating, and it shows Minnesota. Listen, now Minnesota's in danger. As much as I love them, they're in danger of falling out of the top 5 at 8-2. Because now I got to think, like, I know Dallas has 3 losses, but Dallas played better against Philly with a backup, and Minnesota's 2 losses are against 2 of the top 4 NFC teams so far this year, and they're both embarrassing losses. So it's I don't know how much love I got for the Vikings right now. What do you guys feel on the game? How's this make you feel about Minnesota or Dallas or both?
Well, I tell you something, that Dallas defense is for real. From the moment that Michael Parsons got that strip sack fumble, I knew it was going to be a long day for Mr. You Like That. And now if you go back to last week and you really look at it and you analyze it, with the amount of injuries that are sustained to the Buffalo Bills defense right now, their defense is kind of a shell of itself. I mean, they're not healthy. So they're not like, a top 10 defense like they have been, previously. It seems like once the Vikings play a good defense, everything's out the window. And we showed it, when we played them. Our defense was just all over them. And now Dallas did the same exact thing. He looked confused out there. The freaking Cowboys just ran all over them. So I think, is the Vikings just I don't want to say a product of their schedule, but a product of playing teams just at the right time, per se. So I think Dallas just caught a bad rap, last week, blowing that lead. But I don't think the Vikings are what we think they are. And it's just could be a reaction Sunday, but I honestly believe that.
Listen, as somebody that bought in and was drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm right there with you. They've beaten up on some less than favorable teams. And yes, as much as I used it in their favor when telling people a couple weeks ago why they were number 2, I'm going to use it against them. They did play Miami without Tua. They did play the Bills with a banged up Josh Allen, and those 2 games could have been much different, and we could be looking at a 4-loss team. Even if you go down their schedule, which we've done, and again, I use this in a positive light, saying that they could win 1-score possession games. But if you look, I mean, they beat up on the Packers. Everything else is 1 possession. The Lions by 4, the Bears by 7, the Saints by 3, the Dolphins and the Cardinals by 8, the Commanders by 3, the Bills by 3, and then today they just get embarrassed. So I think that was enough for me to just kind of back off them a little bit. I'm not going to completely give up on them. I think they're still a very solid team with dangerous weapons. But, I mean, come on. 105 yards from Kirk today, 72 yards from Dalvin Cook. Justin Jefferson had 3 catches for 33 yards. I mean, you're not beating the Texans with that performance. Tom, what do you got on the game?
2 words for you, brother.
What's that?
Micah Parsons. Just to start the game, he dominated. He went in, he hit Kirk, and he said, "You're my bitch today." 2 sacks, one of them being a strip sack. He was all over the fucking field. And you got DeMarcus Lawrence all over the field with a sack. They had 7 total sacks today. They led the league with 35 sacks as a team in the entire NFL. Add 7 more. They got 42 total sacks through, 10 games? No, 9 games. Or they're 7-3 now, so 10 games. They're averaging 4.2 sacks a game. 4 sacks a game they're averaging.
Yeah, this defense is crazy because even like they were even saying that like Micah Parsons was, distraught about last week. Like he was really emotional about it. And then you go to Trayvon Diggs and he told his coach, because he's not usually one that shadows somebody. He said, I want JJ. His coach said, dude, he goes to the slot. He goes to the outside. I don't care. I want Justin Jefferson. We got a score update?
Joshua Palmer has scored a touchdown for the Los Angeles Chargers. And Tom, you've been calling on my boy, and I went with him this week over Keenan Allen, and he starts, and I started them both. He gets into the end zone. They just confirmed it. Wow. Touchdown.
Shout
that is a
Joshua,
12.
Shout out Joshua Palmer getting open touchdown because Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are back to spread the field for him.
Man, anything to hate on a motherfucker, Tom. You are something else. I
didn't see the play, so I don't know what really happened. If it was more yak, or if it was like an actual down the field pass. Did you see it?
Bombed on him. Nah, yeah, I did see it. He bombed on him. Ravens beat the Panthers 13-3. It was a fucking stinky game. This was the Jets and Patriots all over again. Just both teams looked fucking terrible. Baker is just I don't know why. There's just this little fucking feeling that stays in the back of my head that's like Baker could put it together and maybe show something. I don't know if it's the lack of talent or he's just fucking flat out sucks. But the Panthers look like shit. The Ravens looked even worse, in my opinion, because they're the team you expect to go in. The Panthers are in a rebuild, an obvious rebuild, to where the Ravens are 7-3 now, fighting for AFC 1 seed, and they look like dog shit in this win. But hey, like we've said all year with the Eagles, like we've always said, a win is a win is a win. Where does this win put the Ravens in the AFC battle? Do you got them? I know that I think we both had them in our top 7, top 6, and or top 8, somewhere in that range, and ascending. Is this a win that you're going to be like, all right, I got to move this team up, or is it still you're not top 5 because of shit like this?
Yeah, definitely not top 5. And again, because they just let the Panthers stay in a game with them where they only scored 13 points. And I know weather plays an impact and everything, but you can't just put up 13 against a Panthers team. And I know their defense is pretty good. I mean, obviously they kind of dissembled the offense and they kind of didn't touch on the defense. So, but still, you can't, especially up against, if you're going up against a Bills team, a Chiefs team, Dolphins team in the playoffs, you're not beating them only putting up 13 points. So this probably keeps them right where they're at. Or, if I had a team behind them that maybe did do something that I liked, maybe they squeeze ahead of them, even if they lost. But I don't think that the Ravens move up, or they could move down, but not up. Not in my opinion.
I agree. Tom, what do you got?
So the Ravens did exactly what they were supposed to do, and they locked up Deonta Foreman, a must-watch player for Ryan Gallagher this week. Must-watch. I don't know what I was supposed to watch. It was like a pick like my lock of the week. Both were just bogus. But the third-ranked rush defense in the league did their job and only held the Panthers to 3 points. But putting up 13 points against the Panthers is, in my opinion, embarrassing. For a team as dominant, offensively as dominant with, like, when you have Lamar Jackson, you spread the field, and you got Kenyon Drake. I understand Gus Edwards and J.K. are still hurt. But this DeMarcus Robinson kid, I believe he had like 156 yards total this year, and 128 of them came today. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know where – I mean, I know Mark Andrews had like 6 catches for 60 yards, but where was Devin Duvernay? Where was all these other guys at? Kenyon Drake only touched the ball 10 times. Why? Like Derrick said, weather affects a game, but in a game like that that's super windy, why did you only run the ball 10 times with your running back?
Not a clue.
I'm sorry, your starting running back. I mean, other guys touched the ball, but your best running back other than your quarterback, your best running back only touched the ball 10 times. I don't know. I mean, I just like I'll never understand why nobody runs the fucking ball. Unless you're the Buffalo Bills this week, nobody runs the ball.
this is a passing league now. And I'm kind of starting to get off the Lamar train too, just because like when Hollywood was there, he was kind of pissed off that he didn't get the ball, and I'm kind of starting to think. And like I said, I've watched Lamar Jackson, in college, and I know that he can sling the rock, but for whatever reason, it's like he's scared to throw the ball, like whether it be downfield or like he's afraid, and he relies on his legs a lot.
Yeah. Do you think it's him, or do you think it's the lack of talent?
I think it's the actual game plan. If you ask me, I feel like coaches they fall in love with running quarterbacks. Like now you see Justin Fields after he had that one big game, he's fucking. They have packages where he's running the ball.
Yeah. I just looked at the question of the day is Lamar Jackson afraid to throw the football? But Tom, to your point, even the backup running back, Justice Hill, 7 carries, and then the other 2 came from Ricard and Duvernay. And it's not enough running. Foreman had 11 carries for 24 yards. And then Carolina decided, hey, we're going to let Baker Mayfield throw the ball almost 35 times, and we're just going to fuck it, see what happens. Baker Mayfield dropped back 35 times, 33 pass attempts, 2 rushes. And they got guys like who I did take this dude in DFS today, Terrence Marshall Jr., and he was their leading receiver. They got dudes like him, Chuba out the back. Like DJ Moore has been a ghost. That's in Carolina. I was talking about their receivers and got a little mixed up. But for Baltimore, Mark Andrews is a beast. Robinson had a good game, but they don't really got shit outside of that. They're just, I don't know. I don't think he has the talent around him to really put some. They win. They're 7-3. They're fucking right now. They're tied for depending what Kansas City does, they could be tied for the AFC 1 seed by the end of the night. But it's just not a team I really feel that comfortable backing.
And another thing that gets me is it's like the Panthers, like you got your clear-cut best player, other than, like you said, DJ Moore has been like a ghost, is your running back. Yeah. So it's a 3-3 game. You let your running back run the ball 10 times, like you're getting blown out by 40 points, where you have to go into a complete pass mode and let Baker throw the ball 35 times. You're in a close game. You're still in a 1-score game. You were in a 1-score game all the way till like almost 6 minutes in the fourth quarter when Lamar decided to score.
Yep.
Yeah, but you only run, like, you could have ran the ball another 30 times in that whole scheme and just prayed that your best player finds an opening and takes it to the house, and it changes the entire game. But instead of doing that, you put the ball in Baker Mayfield's hands, who has proved nothing so far in his career that he could take a team and win.
Yeah. Well, Lamar, kind of touching back on, I agree. As a Foreman owner in fantasy, I wanted to see him get 50 touches. But they kind of, to go back on the, you falling off the Lamar train, he did some dumb shit today too. Did you see when they blew the play dead and he punted the ball?
Yeah. Did they wind up? So it was a delay game on him.
Yeah. Now it wasn't a full punt. It was one that he dropped it, and it looked like he was
I seen the punt, but I thought there was already a penalty prior to that, so I just changed the channel. But I guess they called a delay game on him.
Yeah, they called a delay game on him there. Which, hindsight, they didn't score. They got a field goal that drive. I'm pretty sure, or maybe.
Yeah, but it's still. Would Tom Brady ever do some stupid shit like that? No. Would Aaron Rodgers ever do? Like, come on.
No, they just break tablets and shit on the sideline where you don't get penalized.
Exactly.
No, they're not punting field goals. I did back this team to win again two weeks in a row, and it looked like for a while that they actually were going to, but they didn't. And a lot of that has to do, again, with old tiny hands. But the Bengals beat the Steelers in Tom Flynn's must-watch game of the week. 67 points between the two. I did not see that coming. I think I called this game 16-13 or 13-10 or some shit. 67 points. Smoking Joe Burrow, 355 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. T. Higgins, another DFS pick for me. I better have won some fucking money. 9 catches, 148 yards. But the man of the day, the man of the day, Samaje Perine, 4 catches, 52 yards, and 3 touchdowns for the Bengals. On Pittsburgh side, Pickett had a kind of a okay day. 42 pass attempts, 25 completions, 265 yards a touchdown. And Najee Harris continues his little rebirth with 20 carries, 90 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Pickens made another crazy ass catch. Well, pretty decent crazy ass catch today. And I was wrong. The Pittsburgh Steelers were not going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Tom, I want to go to you first because this was your game that you previewed. Talk to me about the Steelers and the Bengals.
Well, the talk about that Pickens catch, that was all hands. That was a big boy catch. Clear-cut big boy catch. But Joe Mixon going down with a concussion. But before he even went down, again, I don't know how much you can stress. Just run the fucking ball. Everything opens up if you run the ball. You keep your teams on. You keep the defenses honest when you run the ball. I understand Perine had 2 touchdowns. Were they all receiving touchdowns? I believe they're all receiving touchdowns out of the backfield.
All 3,
4 catches, 52 yards. But he only had 11 carries for 30 yards. I just don't understand why you don't. It's every team this week besides the Buffalo Bills. I don't understand why you don't run the fucking ball.
Yeah.
But that boy, Joey Cooper, he's back. And when Jamar Chase comes back, I believe it's next week, it's going to open up the field even more. Joe Mixon gets healthy. The Bengals are back, and they're going to the playoffs. Derrick Gibson. But to piggyback off the Steelers, TJ Watt was formed in some fucking factory somewhere.
Dude,
he was in the play. He was in the backfield every play. Burrow was throwing the ball as quick as he fucking could. He was in the backfield every play. And this interception he had was something that, I don't know how he even caught the ball. The ball had to be coming 25 miles per hour, and he still caught it somehow. It's just like it was a bullet pass, and the man just put his hands up and said, "Look what I found."
The best. Yeah, but the guy on the Panthers had a similar interception. It was very
big
similar.
Boy.
Big
boy.
Aiden Hutchinson got up there for that pick.
Yeah, but he wasn't on the line though. This guy was on the line like JJ Watt.
I know he fell back in the coverage.
No, but I'm saying JJ Watt was on the line, and so was this other guy. And good old Two Fingers got an interception too on the line.
Pierre Paul. A lot of defensive linemen had picks this week. The dude from the Panthers, big boy, was that was nice. That was a good play. I wasn't expecting it. He got up a little bit too for a big guy.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, reminded me of Tom out in the field.
Except for when I stick Tom, because then he gets nothing but a big fat 0. Look, he ain't even
Tom's just chip, block and go. Chip, block and go. Tom
got wheels. You remember that time? D, you weren't with us. Tom, do you remember that time out in Boston? So we have an extended friend group out. A majority of them are in Boston, but a lot of them are all over the country. And there's this kid. I won't use his name. There's this kid that he apparently was a great basketball player. He could have went D1 or D2. He was an amazing athlete. That said he could beat me? Yeah, he was an amazing athlete whose parents were model citizens. They're just like an all-American dream family, right? And this dude looks at Tom. If you know Tom, Tom's not, a petite guy. And if you looked at Tom and you didn't know him, you wouldn't know that he's big body Sonic the Hedgehog, right? So I use that shit to my advantage. It's like a little bar trick. We're talking shit, and I'm like, dude, this motherfucker. I was like, yo, Tom will dust you, bro. And for months, this dude was talking shit. I'll beat his ass. And so we get to Boston. We're out, we're drinking. And it was right before we go to the Sixers Celtics game. We are on the side of the bar in a parking lot, and Tom lines up the races, dude. and Tom takes off. And I think he shocked this kid with how fast he took off. Think of a fucking Mack truck with a supercharger on it.
Oh, wait, was he in flip flops?
I think he was in flip flops. Tom
I wasn't in flip flops.
Okay.
I was about to say. So look, so Tom takes off, pew, right? This kid, I swear he shit himself, was like, yo, I'm about to lose, and tried to fucking start and just kick it into overdrive immediately. And he started running. And as soon as it was like apparent that he wasn't catching Tom, because that motherfucker, Tom literally left a fucking cloud of dust. It looked like the Roadrunner. This kid falls flat on his face, and Tom wins the race. And it was the funniest. I had it on live video. It was the funniest fucking thing ever.
I taxed a Teixeira, no pun intended.
Yeah,
I think you might be the only one that gets that.
I do. That's from my that is from my diss track
I know
on that family.
I know too.
Call me Riley's dad because I'm about to tax that. That was Tom's favorite line. I got that John on the playlist here. I got both of them on my computer playlist. I will play them motherfuckers at any time. No, Tom had. I remember when I released that diss track, Tom was like, "Yo, that was my favorite. That was my favorite part." He hit me up right away about that shit. But yeah, that was Tom. Tom got wheels. I will give that to Tom. That boy got some wheels on him. In the must-watch game of the week, D, you want to take this one?
Yes, I will. The shit bowl game of the week. My Las Vegas Raiders versus the Denver Broncos. And just like I said, take Derek Carr, take Josh Jacobs, and take that nasty boy Davante Adams because he balled out today. And again, and I'm surprised the defense actually played pretty decent. I thought Russell Wilson got out to a pretty good start, but again, this was a defensive matchup, and we knew it was going to be a terrible game to watch, which it was. So I didn't even watch all of it. I just started looking on my ESPN app because I was out at the time on my way back, and I seen that boy Davante Adams get the touchdown for the win in overtime. So
bomb.
I did pick them. So go Raiders.
I just want to know where this Broncos defense was when Davante Adams caught this touchdown to win the game.
They were nowhere to be found.
Nowhere. And it was Pat Surtain that got beat on that play. Did you say it? It looked like they were about to run a double post, like a crosser underneath, and then Davante going on a post, and he just broke it to a corner route, and it looked like that Tebow touchdown where that dude was just running, and it's Derek Carr, he responded. He cried last week, but he responded this week. What was he? He was 23 for 37, 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. And again, Josh Jacobs, 109 yards on the ground, 51 on the through the air, and Davante Adams, 7 catches, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns. Russ had a pretty decent game, 24-31, 247 yards, no touchdowns. But again, like it's the Russian attack. They committed. They gave Latavius Murray 17 carries. They gave Melvin Gordon 8 carries, and they gave Chase Edmonds 2. And Murray averaged 2.9 yards per carry. Gordon 3.9 and Chase Edmonds 3.0. So they're trying. They're just not getting the productivity, and that team needs some sort of run game if Russ is going to have success. And the defense, that's the fucking worst part, is the defense put them in position again to win another. As great, look at them stats: 307 yards, 109 yards from Jacobs, and the big day that Davante Adams had, and they still needed a fucking prayer and a field goal to send the game to overtime.
Yeah, that's why I said the defense was there. It's just the offense cannot get going. And I mean, when you have like who's he throwing to right now? Cortland Sutton, Kendall Hilton. I mean, he doesn't really have the weapons, but again, you got to commit to the run so that you can open up those different plays on offense, whether it be the RPO. I mean, Russell Wilson is somebody that can run an RPO or run a halfback draw, keep option, whatever. So they got to get the run game going. And I've never been a triple threat backfield. I mean, I'm not even really a fan of a dual backfield unless you have like a Pollard, Zeke type thing. But if you have like two running backs that are like the same, I'd rather give the one a little bit more carries to see if they can get going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just want to shout out, I think one of the most, maybe it's because he's hitting on the Raiders and the Raiders just aren't a good team, but a very underrated defensive end in Max Crosby is a dog. Is a dog.
Yep.
But I think he just goes, he's not a big name, obviously, like a TJ Watt or somebody like that, but he does his job. He gets in the backfield. He makes tackles. He gets his sacks. He's got 7 on the year right now. But I think it's more so because he's hitting on such a bad Raiders team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they talked about him a lot today, though, because he's been doing his thing this year. So, again, they got it. They have to improve that defense next year if they want to do anything, in that division.
Yeah. Tom, real quick, while we're, I feel like this one should be pretty easy. Do you know who? And this is another on the spot trivia question, and you got the last one, so I'm coming right back to you. Do you know who is, by percentage points, who's the best quarterback in overtime, winning percentage? Minimum of 10 starts.
In overtime? Is he still playing?
He's still playing.
It's Derrick Carr.
It's Derek Carr, 8-2 in overtime.
The only reason why I say it, because he's the only one that's always either behind in the fourth quarter or ahead by one possession.
So with that win, he surpassed Tom Brady, who was 10-4 with a .714 win percentage. He's 8-2, so he's .800. Dan asked, "Did y'all see Burrow flex on TJ Watt when he broke his sack?"
This was much must-watch football for Tom, not for me, so I didn't catch much of the game.
I seen him, but if he's talking about the one where TJ Watt got blocked in and he did and Joe Burrow did like a little shimmy to the right and broke out of the pocket, I didn't see him flex on TJ Watt. No,
but I tell you what, TJ Watt won't forget that.
No, absolutely not. But they don't play again this year, so but
they play 2 times next year.
They got to play next year. You're right on that one. But no, I didn't see him flex on TJ Watt. The only thing I seen was my man Jalen Hurts going dance battle and do the little shimmy on that Colts mascot.
Did you see the Colts mascot shaking his fucking belly at him?
Yeah, that's
what that was a symbol for. Yeah, fuck that guy. He's a poor man's fanatic.
And we all seen Tyler Heineke get fucking leveled.
He got fucking leveled. Oh my, I love it. I love it because of what that wet noodle did last week.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up our NFL in record time. But we do got the Sunday Night Football game going on. We will take any questions you guys got. Anything that you thought throughout the day or you would like us to answer, just drop it in the comments and we'll get it live on here. But again, the Sunday Night Football game, Chiefs Chargers, it's live right now. Chargers put up 3 more. It's 2nd and 21. So Chiefs are down 10-6. Still first quarter, a lot of time. And the Monday Night Football, I'm not even sure who's on the schedule.
San Fran
and Arizona.
In Arizona.
Yep, it was eluding me. That should be a good game.
They're playing in Mexico City.
Yeah. It should be a good game. If is Kyler playing? I think he is.
But the line being at 8. If the line's at 8, I don't see him playing.
Either way, the 49ers are 8.5 point favorites in that game.
Right. That's why I don't think Kyler is playing.
So Dylan is actually going to segue us right into NBA. He said Ben Simmons turned up tonight. I know you guys love him. And Simmons is a bitch, Dylan. And I'm so glad that he's your problem and not ours anymore. And by turn up, you mean he gave you 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. That's Is that tonight's game, the 20th? Yeah, that's what he did. I mean, hey, listen, the big news out of Brooklyn is not that Ben Simmons did what he did. It's that Kyrie Irving's back. You got any thoughts on Kyrie returning to the court?
I honestly, he apologized. Did I think necessarily he had to do it in the way he did, the way they wanted him to do it? I don't think so. But I also do want to throw out there that I think her name was Shanquilla, the one that got murdered in Cabo, St. Lucas, Mexico, with her friends. She was there fighting. She was murdered by the girl. They came back, said that she was drinking. Kyrie actually donated $65,000 to her GoFundMe page. So, I mean, everybody, kind of whatever. He gets a bad rap for some of the cuckoo shit he says, but he's just a regular human being, just like, you and me. And what they don't realize is these guys, again, they're human beings. They have feelings. They just have a bigger platform than us. They have a more outreach to, different, a larger amount of people. But this is supposed to be America, the land of the free, home of the brave. So we should be able to say whatever we want, unless it's, like very hurtful and, shameful stuff. I don't agree with that. But
of course,
what he did, do I think it was innocent on his behalf? Like, he didn't think it was going to offend people. And do I think he's anti-Semitic? No, I don't think so. So that he, apologized, because if people were hurt, then, I definitely, I don't think he meant to do it. So I'm glad he's back, even though I'm not a Nets fan. And I hate Ben Simmons.
He's just a Knicks fan.
Kyrie Irving is back. He got 14 points. Not having the craziest shooting night, but again, Ben Simmons is giving him 20, and Brooklyn is actually up on the Ja Morantless Mesley. Memphis Grizzlies 106-98. Jesus, I couldn't get that one out. And another score I got right here, and I had this rotating a little bit later in, but this fucking score is catching my eye. I want to talk about what they did on Friday night before I put the score out there. The Heat continue to struggle as they lost to the Wizards on Friday night, 107-106 in overtime, with Jimmy, Duncan Robinson, and Bam out. And the reason I mentioned Duncan Robinson, we know he's dog shit, but even though he has been a bum, he has a huge contract. They're paying this dude $16.9 million a year to average. Well, this year it only continues to go up, and it caps a little bit over 19. But they're paying this dude $17 million a year to average 6.3 points per game. He gave them nothing, a fat zero, in 15 minutes in their last game against the Raptors, and that was his second game of 15-plus minutes played and 0 points. His best game this year, he gave them 17. That was the second game of the year against against Golden State. And in this game, he has given them 7 points. He has a -22 in his plus-minus, and the Miami Heat are losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers 103-73. They are getting fucking smacked around, and I don't know what's up with the team. They're 7-9. They're not looking right. The Cavs have looked great. They've kind of come back down to earth a little bit since that hot start. But I mean, they got 25 from Darius Garland. They got 15 and 10 from Evan Mobley. The bench, Seti Osman gave them 18. Like, they're getting, they're just a team. They're a well put together team, to where the Heat, they were that team, but they're struggling. What's going on with the Heat? Anybody want to touch on that?
I just think, again, the Heat are a culture team, and they'll get it together. They'll turn around the season. All these teams that are, they're out to hot starts. You got your Utah Jazz, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're all going to kind of come back down to earth. You got the Sixers at 8-8 right now. They're not an 8-8 team. So some of these teams that are higher up in the rankings, they're kind of going to come back down to earth as the season progresses. And again, all these teams that are high right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't see them, even if they made the playoffs, I don't see them going deep into the playoffs. So I do see the Heat, though, being a playoff team. And just like we've seen in the past, anything is possible with the Eric Spoelstra Heat. They could go as far as the NBA Finals. You know what? I do have something on the Miami Heat. I know they're looking for sponsors for their stadium. Our three faces on their stadium would. What's up?
I'm giving my fucking my standstill. You imagine Tom's head. They should continue to name it what never mind. I was gonna say they should continue with the name of what is it, Bang Bros? Is that who's trying to fucking sponsor it? And then put us 3 on there.
Yeah.
Oh no. All right. So you talked about the Sixers. And they had a little bit of an up and down weekend. They beat the Bucks on Friday night, 110-102. Joel Embiid led the team in points, rebounds, and assists with 32, 11, and 8. Giannis, 25 points, 14 rebounds, but went 4 for 15 from the free throw line and killed the Bucks with his free throw shooting. So much so that he decided to stay after the game and continue to shoot free throws, even while the TV guys and the stadium workers were wrapping up. And he wound up pushing and knocking over dude's ladder. And then his brother kind of got, I don't know if you want to say he got chumped, he got punked by Montrezl Harrell. And it was quite this. It was, I know it was talked about often here. Travis Kelce just high stepped into the end zone, and the Chiefs are back on top. Oh, well, they're on top for the first time. But between the shit with the Antetokounmpo brothers, Tyrese Maxey got hurt Friday night. He's done for 3 to 4 weeks. The Sixers, despite all that, are able to get out with a win over a top Eastern Conference team. But then they come back and they lose to the Timberwolves, 112-109. They did fight back in the fourth to get the game close, but ultimately they couldn't pull out the dub. And B puts up 32 in that game, and Shake Milton wound up putting up 27. He took over in the fourth. What you guys think about our boys this weekend? Did you see anything you liked, or again, just like you said, the 8-8 were kind of floating around the middle. We get a good win followed by, I mean, the Wolves ain't a horrible team, but they're not sitting. I don't think they're currently sitting in a playoff spot. I think they're in a play-in tournament. What do you feel about our boys from the weekend?
So the only thing I'm disappointed in is that Maxey is going to be out for about the same duration as James Harden. I kind of wanted to see him in a James Harden-less offense to see if we could get something else going. I kind of feel like when James Harden is in the game, he's sort of an ISO player. He likes to dribble the ball a lot. And I think we're a team that needs spacing and to actually move the ball. We have shooters that we're not implementing in the game right now. I think PJ Tucker has had 0 points the past 95 minutes I've seen or something like that. And this was a guy that we brought in to get the, knock down those corner threes. But the biggest thing that I came away from this Friday night game is that Joel Embiid is starting to get it going. And, I was a little bit down on him at the beginning of the season. I just feel like he wasn't meshing right. It just didn't look like he was himself. But now that he's starting to get the volume that he deserves as the, caliber player he is, he's second in the league in points with 32.3 points a game. So, I mean, that just tells you got to feed the big man the rock. And it's good to see that he's still trying to, just make his game better all around. Because even like that turnaround jumper is just like money now.
Yeah.
He got the turnaround, but I like to see him, actually getting to the basket and, making high percentage shots, underneath the basket. So that's the biggest thing I came out of that game was that Embiid's going to have the floor to himself for a little bit. So we'll get to see him get going until, some of our other players get healthy. The other thing I did come out of this game was what is going on with Tobias Harris, because they're saying it's a hip injury, but now I'm hearing there's swirls of, trade discussion with teams, quote unquote teams. And I hate to be the one to throw it out there, but there was one, I believe, just a rumor with the Nets for KD. Some like Tyrese Maxey, Tobias, and I think like a first round or a draft pick somewhere in there. And again, even if that was a true rumor, like something that's actually on the table, I would not take it.
Mm-mm. You wouldn't trade Maxey and Tobias in a first for KD?
No.
Tom, what you got? Anything?
I'm not giving up Maxey for a 34-year-old Kevin Durant right now.
All right, so I got a good question for you. This is something I said a couple weeks. I was talking to, I forget who I was talking about. Mike Williams is injured again. So I talked a couple weeks ago about it was centered around trading Joel Embiid. And I entertained the idea, and I want to get your guys' thoughts, and then I'll give mine on it. What do you think if the Sixers are unable to at least get to an Eastern Conference championship this season? Would you be okay with them shopping Embiid?
I don't have a problem with it. Like I said, I'm at the point where I wouldn't necessarily say build around Maxey because he kind of reminds me of like a De'Aaron Fox type of player. John Wall, and it just seems like players like that just don't work out. So I wouldn't say necessarily build around him, but if you could get him another key player to kind of balance out, Embiid, I wouldn't mind shopping Embiid just because I feel like he's got like anywhere from I'm talking prime years. I would say 3 to 5 years of prime years left. And just because big men, you know how it once their career gets a little bit later, they start to break down. And I know he's not a bang guy, but they still they're taller, center of gravity, whatever. So they start to break down.
Tom.
No, I'm not okay with trading Joel Embiid. No matter what, you did everything you did everything in your power with this whole process situation to win here in Philly, and now you're ready to, because of another foul season, you're going to go and trade him away instead of making other moves and finally getting your head out your ass and start making moves in the front office. If you trade Joel Embiid, they ought to make a 30 for 30 on the foul process.
So
it's one of the worst things in NBA history.
So I massively disagree with you. I do think that if the Sixers were not able to get out of the second round this year, yet again, I think you trade Embiid. And the reason why, and I'm fucking, I might be one of Embiid's biggest fans. I love the dude, but Derrick, you talked about prime years. You said you think he got 3 to 5. I don't even think he has 3 to 5 prime years left. He's averaging over 30 this year. And the dude's huge. He has an injury history. And more than it's not about time. I think you're locked in on you would never want to trade Embiid because, and you highlighted it, it would mark the end of the process. It would mark a failed process. But up to this point, what the fuck has the process gotten us? It's gotten us a terrible situation with Ben Simmons. It drafted us Markelle Fultz. It got us Joel Embiid that can't get us past the second round. It's got us James Harden, who we're not sure if he's back or not. And it's got us Tyrese Maxey, who's very good. Then it's got us Tobias Harris. Don't worry about my camera. I'll get it fixed. It got us Tobias Harris, who is nothing. And now I 100% disagree with what you said as far as you build around it, you make more moves. How many fucking times are they going to reset this team to build around Joel? They built around Joel with the original process. Then they did the Jimmy, the Tobias, and then the Jimmy shit. And then they got rid of Jimmy and it was Tobias and Ben. And then they got rid of Ben and it was Maxey and fucking Harden. And how many times are you just going to continue to build around a dude that's not producing the dubs? I love them, and I'm trying in my older years to not be such a biased Philly fan and just give true feelings. And my true opinion, my true feeling is if they do not get out the second round this year, get the fuck rid of the guy. I love him. I would rather him go. I would not hate. This ain't a Ben Simmons or a Carson situation. If it didn't work out, he goes somewhere else and he wins the championship, I would fucking root for him. But it also gives, again, Derrick's being extremely nice. But let's play hypothetical and say he's got 3 to 5 years. I think he's closer to 2 to 3. What? James Harden ain't getting younger. PJ Tucker ain't doing shit, and they're locked up in a lot of bad money moves. Like, what makes you think that they're going to win a championship in the next 3 years? At that point, why not? Okay, it was failed. Why not move them? And you can get a slew of picks or young players. You could get almost any player in the league that you want. Like, you could. There's not. Go ahead.
No, but that's why I'm saying you keep Maxey and you try to get, assets for Embiid to I don't want to say build around Maxey, but complement him, because you can win championships with an actual team. If you have, let's say, a superstar or 2 stars, you'll be able to win like that. But it seems like the construct we have of the team right now, I don't think that I just don't think it's a winnable team. I really don't. And part of it is like our bench. Supposedly we made the bench a little bit better this year, and it's not showing. When Embiid, James Harden, Maxey, when they're all on the field, Tobias, our bench is not scoring any points at all.
No.
So even though you got I wouldn't call James Harden probably a superstar anymore, but you got Embiid, who's prime time. You got James Harden, and then you got Tobias, who really doesn't do much when them 3 on the court. I just feel like there's not enough basketball to go around.
Yeah, and it's just, it sucks. I love my team, and like I said, I love my guy Embiid, but I'm more focused. It's like it would suck to get rid of it, but it's like this shit ain't going nowhere. It's like dating somebody for fucking 15 years and you're just still their boyfriend or their girlfriend. Like, this shit ain't going nowhere. It ain't benefiting any of us. Let's fucking move on to better things.
But it would be just like a quarterback. It was just it. I'm not saying he's Carson Wentz, but let's just say who's a quarterback that just can't get it done. Let's just say he's like an Andrew
Kirk Cousins. Or
a Kirk Cousins. You're not going to deal with 10, 15 years of Kirk Cousins. Eventually, you're going to move on. Or like how the Browns did with Baker Mayfield. He just wasn't getting it done, so they moved on.
It makes sense. You solved the riddle. I know why Tom doesn't want to move him. You just said quarterbacks that can't get it done that you stick on. How long did Phillip Rivers stay with the Chargers?
Forever.
How long did McNabb stay with the Eagles?
Yeah, it's like Andy Reid with the Eagles.
That's what it is, though. So what are you going to keep on you're going to keep on wasting years for a guy that you love? I mean,
no, what you do is you go draft Bronny and you go get LeBron and you win the city a fucking championship.
LeBron is not winning a championship in the city of Philadelphia with Embiid and James Harden on that team. Are you out of your fucking mind?
LeBron can win a championship with anybody on his team.
Do you know how slow that team would be? Maxey would be like,
Derrick, LeBron comes here. LeBron comes here. Can the Sixers win the championship?
Tom,
no.
Tom, how much?
LeBron's not what he used to be, and I mean he's still. But I mean, all these guys they're in the older stages of their. I mean, granted, Embiid, he's still young, but he's just very injury prone, and he's big. He's big. Big guys usually just don't last. And we've seen this with Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard used to be a force. The 5 years of his career, he was bodying everybody. But then after that, he just fell off. And I mean, they're different players because Embiid can shoot a little bit, but they don't last long in their prime, like the way that their primes are. Like Tim Duncan, for instance. There was years where he was dominant. Then there was years where he was just, accessible player. Like he would get you 15 points a game, get you some rebounds, but he wasn't going out there scoring 30, 35 a night like Embiid's doing right now.
Well, what is Embiid's trade value worth next year?
If he finishes this season on the track that he's on, he's gonna be worth more than who can
you can get picks. You can get picks.
The question is, what can't you get for him? There might be a few players. I don't think you're getting Tatum. I don't think you're getting Luka. But there's not a lot of people on that list that you won't get. You can go get. You can get a lot.
He could literally go to Memphis and probably get 3 of their starters.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because Ja needs somebody.
Well, yeah, I haven't looked into who. I'm just saying in the grand scheme.
I'm just throwing out theoretically.
And Tom, I want to touch back on this real quick because I know you love your boy LeBron, but how much do you actually love Tyrese Maxey? Seriously, you said you wouldn't trade him for KD, right? But you would trade him for LeBron.
No, LeBron's a free agent.
I understand. And now listen to me. LeBron and this team with James Harden, dribble, fat, and Joel Embiid, who limps up the court half the time, you might as well trade Maxey because he's the only thing on that fucking court that's moving fast, right? And with the way that they would have that team structured with Harden, Embiid, LeBron, Maxey, and who would be your fifth? You have no money. It has to be PJ Tucker. Who the fuck's running who? Bro, that's going to be the slowest team in the league. And we've seen what happens to slow teams in the playoffs. They don't win, so we're back to where the fuck we were.
They get mopped.
He makes a LeBron addition. Maxey's already almost fucking not useless, but he's gotten he plays way better when James Harden's not in the fucking in a lineup. So
and
now,
that's why I'm sad. That's why I'm sad he's out, because I wanted to see him and Embiid get going to see how they look on the court when James isn't there. Because James, I don't think that James should be bringing the ball up the court.
No, Maxey should. And now Tom wants to add a second ball dominant, a second guy that can't fucking play off the ball. Come on, Tom.
Exactly.
Just because they're names doesn't mean it works. I would take a nice stretch four. You get rid of Tobias and bring in a nice stretch forward. Who's a nice stretch forward that the Sixers could add? Just someone that could maybe stretch the field a little bit or stretch the court a little bit.
I mean, the only person I could think of is like a Lauri Markkanen, but I mean, they ain't giving him up.
Nah.
There's some guys that are out there that I would like, but I know that they ain't gonna give them up.
Fuck no. All right, so I hate to give this team props, but again, we're very unbiased here. The Boston Celtics hit 23s in their game versus the Pelicans that helped them win their 9th straight game, and now they have a game and a half lead over the Bucks for the East, who lost to the Sixers. For the East 1 seed, Tatum is playing like an MVP candidate, averaging 30.3 a game, and JB is looking like possibly the best co-star in the league, averaging 25.3. Marcus Smart is doing his defensive, fucking tenacious leader of the team role that he's always been in for them. He's averaging double digits in points. He leads them in assists and steals, and they are on an absolute tear. And it kills me to say, I think the Boston Celtics are the best team in the East. Now, that's right now, and the Bucks still have to get that respect, especially with them missing Middleton and I think it's Pat Connaughton. I always get this one wrong, but I think it's Connaughton. But right now, the Boston Celtics are the hottest team, not just in the East. They're the hottest team in the league. And they're kind of showing that they don't have a hangover from going to the Super Bowl. I mean, to the Super Bowl, to the finals. They're starting to put it together. Do you think Boston are they the favorite in the East, or is this just a nice run that they're on?
I think they are the favorite of the East, and I get disgusted every time I watch them. And it's because of Agent Zero. The guy wearing 0. Tatum. Somebody that we could have drafted, but instead we drafted Markelle Fultz, who I watched Markelle Fultz at Washington. He was a pretty decent player, but there was always after that summer, there was whispers of his shooting, that his shooting wasn't up to par and stuff like that. And we all watched Tatum in the March Madness, and he was just absolutely balling. What I don't understand is, why don't the Sixers draft Jason Tatum, right? So now you have Ben at the point, who's already going to stay at the point, because Markelle Fultz, he's a point guard. So somebody that we already had a point guard in Ben Simmons, but we go ahead and we draft another point guard. It wasn't like we couldn't draft Tatum, and Ben was still sticking point guards. He was sticking 1 through 5. So why were they afraid to draft Jason Tatum? I just don't understand it. But this team is young, and that's what scares me. They're young. Together, they probably can win, who knows, 1 or 2 championships in the next 5 years.
Yeah. They got, like I said, they got their 2 stars leading the way, putting up fucking almost 56 points a game for them. But then they got 5 dudes in double digits. Brogdon 13, Horford 11.5, Smart 11.4, White 10.4, Grant Williams 10.1. Like they're just getting it from everywhere. everyone is doing their thing. They play great defense, and I thought that maybe that Ime Udoka shit was going to fucking kind of derail this team or potentially get them off to a slow start. Nope, they're ready to go. Tom,
and I'm sorry, before you go,
no,
Tom. All that comes down to is ball movement. They move the ball, they pass the ball, and that's something that the Sixers aren't doing right now. They're getting their guys open. Grant Williams, he did not shoot the three before he came into the NBA. Being on the Celtics, it forced him to shoot the three because teams were, leaving him open, and you got Tatum who was drawing attention, so he had to start shooting the three. Well, that's all I got. Go ahead, Tom.
So I do think that they are the team to win the finals. I actually do think they are going to win the finals, and we're never going to hear the end of it. But I think even so, which will make them even a more clear-cut team to win the finals, is when they go out and get another solid big man to play in the paint without Al Horford.
Ooh, who do you think? Who do you think do you have an idea of who they're going to get?
Don't. I mean, I think the trade deadline coming up by the All-Star break, when all the teams are fighting for players, when the buyouts happen, after the All-Star break, when all the teams start getting their chemistry together, I think the Celtics are going to pick up another big man. I don't know who it is, and then that's just going to clear-cut stamp them in. I mean, I think we are going to get we would love the Sixers there, but the way it's looking, it's going to be a Bucks Celtics Eastern Conference Finals, and that could be really fun to watch.
Yeah, but they have Robert Williams right now, don't they?
The question is he still is he playing? That dude's always hurt.
I think Celtics, he is hurt right now.
The Celtics, I didn't even look. That dude is always. I like him. What happened?
What's his name? Like Time Maker?
Yeah, Robert Williams. He's out right now, but he should be back soon.
I was looking out, just trying to see if there was any projections on the NBA trade deadline, and the first picture that's here, Larry Markkinen. Is he? If he's available, let Philly go and fucking get him. I don't know what the hell they could give up for him, but all right. So a team that I feel like, speaking of the trade deadline, a team that I feel like could be trending towards becoming a seller when last year and this year and the year before, they kind of maybe were buyers trying to get that extra push. Last year they were buyers. I think they landed a big man. But this isn't the team. The second team is the team. The Orlando Magic beat the Chicago Bulls in Chicago with a 3 by Jalen Suggs with 4 seconds remaining. And that loss drops Chicago to 6-10. 3-7 in their last 10 games, and are currently on a 4-game losing streak. After the game, Zach LaVine called out his coach for benching him late in their game versus Orlando as he sat the final 3 minutes and 43 seconds. DeRozan's been a bright spot for that team, and LaVine has been decent. But outside of that, I mean, Vooch is giving them, he's giving them production. I think he's averaging a double-double with 15 points, I think like 10 or 11 rebounds. But outside of that, they're not getting too much. Really, they're struggling. I think they're really missing Lonzo Ball, and the question is, like, they just got Austin Eckler touchdown. For fantasy purposes, I need that, and the Chargers just went back on top. This is gonna be a good game. But Lonzo Ball, I never thought I would say this, but a team is really missing Lonzo Ball, and they got news that I think his return is not looking as promising as it was. Maybe it got pushed back, but I can't help but think that this team is, now you got LaVine and the coach going at it. DeRozan is averaging 25, LaVine averaging 20, but there was already rumors of DeRozan wanting to leave. That was in the offseason, I remember hearing. Same with LaVine. They thought he was going to go sign somewhere else, but I think this team has a chance to where if they don't start picking up some wins, I think they're going to be sellers. I think that DeRozan could probably be on the way somewhere else. I know they just inked LaVine. So maybe LaVine stays, but Vooch could be gone. Maybe I don't know. I think the Bulls they had a nice little chance to make a run, but with Lonzo going down and these other guys just ain't performing like that, they're kind of stuck in limbo too. Cornell, I always, he's my Chicago guy to go to. He talked about how the Bears were in a rebuild and the Bulls are supposed to be fighting for a playoff spot, and it looks like the future for the Bears looks much brighter than the future for the Bulls. And just looking in from the outside, I kind of agree. I don't see the direction that the Bulls are going. I don't think that they have the roster to win a championship. Maybe they become sellers. Maybe they make somebody available. You got anything on the Bulls or the Magic?
The Magic is, they're young, they're promising. So, I mean, again, I don't expect them to have a breakout season this year, but within the next few years, I do see them make standings. But with the Bulls, it was a couple years when they put this team together, and I looked at this roster and I said, "Holy shit, this is going to be a good team." Like if you would have looked at that time on paper, I believe Vooch was just coming off of like a great season. You got Zach LaVine, who was balling for the Bulls, and then you have DeMar DeRozan, who's just mid-range McGee. Like, so when I seen this team like on paper, I'm like, there's no way that this team is not making the conference finals at least. And then they just do what they did. I feel like the Bulls are like the Sixers. You give them this year. If they don't do nothing, you got to start disassembling the team and going in a different direction, because you don't want to waste years of they have these players are considered assets. So you have assets right now in DeRozan, who they're a little older, but you can still get something back for them. So I would start looking in that direction if I was the Bulls, because I don't see their season turning around, especially with turmoil with coaches and players now. I don't see this season turning around.
Yeah. Hey Tom, I just read something. Remember earlier when I mentioned that maybe Sirianni was fired up for this game going back to Indy? Well, apparently he was screaming into the crowd, and then before he got on the podium, he was maybe wiping away tears, it says. And a lot of it, he said he was emotional because of how much he loves Frank Reich. And pretty much I think he felt good about that when sticking it to Indy for firing his boy Frank Reich. And that was a motivating factor. I think that's part of what he was probably so worked up on the sideline screaming into the crowd for. It's like, you fired my boy. That's like if Grove were to get rid of Tom, I'm gonna be outside like Nick Sirianni. The fuck are you doing? Got your back, Tom. This is a team and a player I've been excited to talk about, and we haven't really gotten into basketball on the previous shows, and this is the last topic I want to touch on for basketball, but floor is open. The Mavs this weekend, they beat the Nuggets 127-99. Now the Nuggets were a little bit shorthanded, but Luka in the game became the second fastest player to 50 triple doubles. My man is leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. He got 34.3 points a game, 9.1 rebounds, 8.1 assists, and 2 steals. This dude is MVP frontrunner. I don't think anybody in the league is doing what Luka's been able to do. I just hope that it turns into playoff success and the dude could go win a couple series and maybe make a championship. And then in other news relating to Luka, one of his rookie cards just sold for $3.12 million at an auction.
Crazy.
Fucking wild. What do you guys think about Luka? Is he MVP frontrunner?
100% yes. And I just want to give him his flowers, because I was one of the people that said when he first came in the league, his style of play isn't going to work. He's not going to be good. I remember he was a young player coming from, overseas. So I just didn't believe in Luka at all. But, I mean, boy, has he showed me. The kid is elite. I mean, and I respect the Mavericks organization, because you never see them go out and get these big name stars. They always try to do everything in-house, drafting and growing players. So I was kind of sad, because I felt like he could have stayed, on that team and made them better. And who knows, they could have, went to the finals. But again, when you have Luka on your team, I feel like he's just like I can't really compare him to LeBron. Like an unstoppable player, basically.
He's so unorthodox. I see this dude play and I think of Austin. I think of Ray's boy Austin. I don't know why. It's just like it's like not the fastest, it's not the flashiest, but it's fucking effective. I'm not saying Austin plays like that, but it's effective what he does. Tom, you have some?
All I want to know is shout out to my man, the Robin Spencer Dinwiddie, who's also balling out there.
Spencer Dinwiddie,
my guy from the Brooklyn Nets to the Dallas Mavs.
He's remember, Tom, do you remember I said on the one show, I think it was before Derrick got in on that show, it was I said you know what? I think I was by myself. I had said that Karis LeVert had put up 41 points, and then the next night he dropped 1 point. And somebody had posted that's like peak Karis LeVert. And Dinwiddie is like, he's kind of similar, in which Dinwiddie will fucking have a couple games that makes you think this motherfucker is a dog. He can run the league, and then he has a couple games where you're just like, where the fuck did Spencer Dinwiddie go? It's like this dude is like top 5 and then bottom 5 in the same week. It's crazy. It's always been like that since he's been with the Celtics. He always showed up against the Sixers, though. Do we have anything else to touch on? I know that we're going to get into some NHL on Wednesday or Friday show, whichever day we wind up deciding on. And I know Tom's pretty psyched because the World Cup is starting this week.
Yo, can I just ask one question?
No, sure.
What the fuck happened to Kawhi Leonard?
Bro, injury.
Horseshit.
Injuries and just keeping himself out the game.
Can he honestly? I think the NBA?
I think it's just mental with him, man.
What'd you say? Can he what?
Just get out the NBA.
Well, I mean,
him and Ben can go together to somewhere.
He's playing
4 games.
He's all right, but he's played the last 2 games. He's not given much, but I don't know. The whole Kawhi situation is weird. Maybe it's honestly he's such a fucking controlled, like held back guy. He don't talk too much about this. I don't fucking know. He's like a mystery. He's like the biggest mystery, I think, in the NBA. And it's you think back to the Spurs days where he had that thigh injury and then he just never came back and then he wanted to be out. And now it's like he went from the fucking dude single-handedly won Toronto. He single-handedly defeated the Drake curse and won Toronto a championship. Like he's a beast, but I don't know. I was very, on the Kawhi as a top 3, maybe arguing against Giannis back in 2018 he was with Toronto. Like everybody was looking at him as the greatest in the league right now, and then it was just like out of nowhere he's hurt, and then that's another team that's just a fucking they need to just get rid of everybody and go back to being basement dwellers until they can figure out how the fuck is it that the Lakers, it's like the Lakers are here in LA, the Clippers are here in LA, they're both in the same stadium, yet nobody wants to play for the other guys. Like, I know that Paul George went there and Kawhi Leonard chose to go there and these different players, but it's like, I mean, the fucking Clippers, they just get nothing. They had CP3, Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan for all those years, nothing. Doc Rivers with them, nothing. Fucking then they get Kawhi and PG, nothing. Like, they're just that team is just a shit stain of the NBA. But
pretty much.
I don't know what's up with Kawhi. I would love to see him back though. I would definitely love to see. Who wouldn't want to watch fucking Kawhi Leonard? Like,
makes the NBA better. Makes the NBA better.
So, speaking of Dallas and Luka, they're actually tied with the Nuggets right now. They get an immediate rematch. The Lakers are playing later on tonight. And what was the other? I was just looking at. Sorry, Game Pass is popping up trying to sell me some shit. That was, you know what? I lost that. All right, so we touched on NBA. Like I said, Tom, you got anything on the World Cup?
No, just believe USA plays tomorrow at 2:00. I believe it is.
We play tomorrow at 2 against Wales. Is what's his name playing in that? Is that Gareth Bale?
Yeah, but it's also I can never pronounce his name. Christian Polsiak.
Polsak or whatever.
Polsiak.
Balsack. Yeah. What about him?
I believe he's playing.
Oh, I'm just talking Bales because he's the one that fucking he beat the Union. He's the reason the Union didn't get their championship. Now I want us to whoop his ass and send him home. All right. Well, with that,
he is playing.
Oh shit! You know what? No, there was. We got to go over one last thing before we jump out. It was. Let me find it real quick. Our picks of the week. We know that the Tom Flynn lock of the week did not work. Sorry, Tom. I'm sorry to fucking put that. I went Chicago Bears +3. This is for my parlay. I went Bears +3. That covered. I went Eagles -6.5. That didn't cover, did it?
No. Bears +3 was a push also, so that didn't cover it. Just
and then the Steelers +3.5, and it looked good until late, but it didn't. It didn't go. And then, do you guys remember who you picked? So for my picks of the week, I had. Who did I have? I had the Bears winning, so that's a loss. I had the Cowboys winning, that's a dub. I had the Rams winning, and I had the Commanders winning. So I went 2-2 this week.
I had the Eagles winning, the Raiders winning, the Lions winning, and the Jets winning.
So you went 3-1. Okay, Tom, do you remember?
I had the Jets winning. I had the Rams winning.
No, but for your games though.
Your games, the 4 that you broke down last week.
The 4 that you broke down. You had the Bengals winning.
Yeah, I got it right
Bengals.
here. I had the Bills winning. I had the Bengals winning. I had the Ravens winning, and I have the Chiefs winning tonight.
Whoa!
So Tom is
sweep.
Currently
he could sweep.
I have the.
So
I have the Chiefs winning 30-27.
So I'm at 5-3. Derek's at 6-2. Tom is sitting at 5-2 with the Chiefs pending a dub. So if you win, you come all the way back from the pits of hell. Well, the fucking Tom Flynn lock of the week is still in the pits of hell. And with that, our boy John Brandon says, should let me do the locks. The Tom Flynn lock of the week is losing steam. Do you want to give us a hint?
When he wins a Madden Super Bowl, he can give locks.
He did. He has one.
No. I'm talking about a recent one.
It was 2020. It was when he did change teams, but he won.
Tom,
Dylan
do you have anything on? Give us a hint on who your lock of the week will be next week.
There's a couple teams I'm looking at. How about this? I'm going to give you 2 locks.
Oh.
I'm going to give you a lock for the Thanksgiving Day games.
All right, Thanksgiving special, Turkey Day special lock.
I'm going to give you a lock for the Sunday games.
All right.
When are you going to release each? You're going to have to do that'll be released on our Instagram page. But okay, I like it. I like it. Tom, Dylan Whipper wants you to know that even though you jinxed his Jets into a loss, he still loves you. Dylan was with us. We've been on for 2 hours, 15 minutes. Dylan's been with us from the rip. Dylan, thank you, brother. John is campaigning for the Tom and John locks of the week. And when you come back to Madden, I'll give it back. I don't think you will ever see Tom back in a Madden league.
Never.
Tom stinks. He knows he stinks.
My life is so much less stressful because of the game's bullshit and because of you fucking assholes that cheat and go to YouTube.
Cheese plays.
A matter of fact, everybody in this Madden League that goes to YouTube to watch these glitch plays can take the 5 seconds out of their time to go to YouTube and subscribe to us at Filthy Dad Pod on YouTube.
Facts. I dedicated 5+ years to my life to the league that us 3+ Doug created, and I can't even get the full group there to fucking follow us. That's crazy. But I'm no longer a commish, so that's not my problem. That league. Boys, another great show, man. I'm excited to do this with you guys again. I tell you this all the time. But we will make sure that by tomorrow, we will have released the schedule for the next show. And Austin Eckler is he's a dog, but he couldn't get there. He's about to punch it in the end zone. Chargers looking like they're about to go up 24-13 with 40
I'm telling you,
seconds
man,
left.
they're saving their season with this win.
You fucking picked the Chiefs.
I did.
You loser.
But I'm saying if the Chiefs win this game, the Chargers season's over. The Chargers. I said this is a must-win game for the Chargers.
You know why I don't agree with that? Because 2 of the playoff spots are currently held by the Jets and the Patriots, who scored a combined 6 points on offense today.
I'm going based off of. Look at Mike Williams hurt again. You said right.
Yep.
I mean, it's only a matter of fact until Keenan Allen runs a fucking go route and he fucking pulls his hammy again somehow.
I hear that. Listen, we'll check up on it. We'll catch us Wednesday. Or you know what? Wednesday night, I think, is a good time to release the Tom Flynn lock of the week. We'll talk about the show. I got to see what we could do there. But the lock of the week will definitely be out by Wednesday because Tom is ready to line some pockets, even though he might have unlined your pockets this week. What's up, Tom?
Not if you're smart and fade at me.
So do you want them to fade you or do you want them to trust you?
Listen, I want them to do whatever they want to do. Just know my locks are locks, baby.
Listen, if I was one of the betters,
gamble responsibly.
If I was one of the betters taking your picks, I would fade you. All right, I'll catch you on the fucking side street.
Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you have a problem.
Serving you this fade. All right, thank you guys for joining in on our show tonight. We will have everything edited and released for podcast versions by tomorrow morning. Join us Wednesday, Friday, whenever we're live next. And thank you guys again. Go like, follow, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube. Thank you.